Question: what is the ruling regarding entering the restroom with a smartphone which contains a Quran app? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. First of all, let me say that there is some debate among scholars regarding whether or not it is permissible to enter the restroom carrying a mushaf. And what we mean by the mushaf is the Quran printed entirely in Arabic with no or minimal text which is not from the actual Quran. The Hanabila prohibited doing so except in cases of necessity, while the Malikiyya prohibited doing so unless the mushaf is covered and concealed from view. But some of the Shafi'i scholars are on record permitting it absolutely. So there is some difference of opinion. But let's say that we go with the opinion, which is the safer opinion, that doing so is prohibited. According to those who view this practice as prohibited, the illah, the reason or rationale behind the prohibition, is that entering the restroom with the mushaf contradicts the obligation to venerate it and also exposes the mushaf to filth. That said, a Quran app on a cell phone is not the same as the actual printed mushaf, and it is not correct to make an analogy between them and give the same ruling to one that one gives to the other. That is because as-Sharia كما لا تفرق بين متماثلات لا يجمع بين متفرقات. Just as the Islamic law does not differentiate between two similar things, it does not liken between two dissimilar things. Such an analogy between two things with multiple dissimilarities is deemed an invalid, illegitimate analogy, or what we call in the terminology qiyasun fasid, according to the jurists. A Quran app differs from the actual mushaf in a few ways. Among them, the pages, letters, words, and verses on an app are not printed, but are images produced by a code of binary numbers processed by the application, which is programmed to produce a specific image when a certain command is given. Secondly, unlike the mushaf, the cell phone contains the Quran app and other apps, not just the Quran. So it is more analogous to the translation of the meanings of the Quran than the actual mushaf. Number three, the Quran app can be deleted from the phone and it will still be a phone, while if the verses and chapters of the Quran are deleted from the pages of the mushaf, it ceases to be a mushaf. In light of the above, it would seem that entering the restroom with a cell phone containing a Quran app, provided that the app is closed, is permissible for the following reasons. 1. Necessity. If one were to leave his phone outside of the restroom, it could quite possibly or likely be stolen or lost. Number 2. The cell phone is not a mushaf and differs from the mushaf in several ways, so no analogy can be made between the two. Number 3. The app, when closed, is not the Quran, but merely an inactive program. Number 4. Closing the app prevents the words of Allah from being disrespected or exposed to filth, which is the underlying wisdom behind the prohibition. وَالْحُكْمُ يَدُورُ مَعْ إِلَّتِهِ وُجُودًا وَعَدَمًا. And the ruling of a thing follows in lockstep with its basis, root cause in presence and absence, which means that when the rationale for the ruling is absent, the ruling is also absent and no longer applies. In this case, if the Quran is not being disrespected or exposed to filth, then there is no basis for prohibition. And Allah knows best. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.